Most people know Labradors as friendly family dogs. And honestly, that's exactly what this young guy is. He lives with a family that has young children, and from everything I've seen, he absolutely adores them. He's affectionate, playful, and always looking for someone to spend time with. Like many Labradors his age, he's full of energy, full of curiosity, and always interested in what's happening around him. The world is still a very exciting place. Every sound, every smell, every person, every bird, and every moving leaf can instantly grab his attention. And that's exactly why training young dogs can be both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Today was only his second training lesson, and I wanted to see how much progress he could make. Not by being perfect, not by performing every exercise flawlessly, but by learning, trying, and gaining confidence. One thing I always tell puppy owners is that training isn't really about teaching commands. Commands are just a small part of the process. Good training is about communication. It's about helping a young dog understand how to focus, how to make good choices, and how to work together with their handler. At the beginning of today's lesson, focus was definitely our biggest challenge. And honestly, that's exactly what I expected. Young Labradors are famous for being enthusiastic. They want to greet people. They want to investigate smells. They want to explore the environment. Staying focused for an extended period of time is not easy for a puppy. That's why patience is so important. As we started working, there were moments when he paid close attention and moments when something else seemed much more interesting. That's completely normal. Learning is never a straight line. Sometimes a puppy gets something right immediately. Sometimes they need a few repetitions. And sometimes they need a break before everything starts making sense. One thing I really like about training in environments like this is that there are real-world distractions everywhere. People walking by, different smells, sounds in the distance, movement around us. For a young dog, learning to focus around distractions is often much harder than learning the actual command. That's why I don't mind distractions during training. In fact, they help us prepare dogs for real life. Today we spent time working on loose leash walking and staying connected with the handler. For many owners, loose leash walking can be one of the most frustrating things to teach. But with young puppies, I try not to rush. At this stage, I don't expect perfection. What I want to see is understanding. I want the puppy to start realizing that paying attention to the handler leads to good things. As the lesson continued, I started seeing more engagement, more eye contact, more focus, more willingness to work. Those small moments are actually very important. They're often the first signs that learning is beginning to happen. We also worked on basic obedience exercises. Simple things like sitting when asked, staying focused, and responding to cues. These exercises may look easy from the outside, but for a young puppy, they're actually quite challenging. Imagine being a child in a playground full of exciting things and being asked to focus on one specific task. That's how many puppies feel during training, and that's why success should always be celebrated. Whenever this young Labrador made a good choice, we rewarded him. Rewards help create motivation. Motivation creates enthusiasm, and enthusiastic puppies learn much faster. Another important part of puppy training is knowing when to take a break. Many new owners try to train for too long. The puppy becomes tired, focus disappears, mistakes increase, and everyone becomes frustrated. That's why short breaks are so valuable. A few minutes of play, a chance to relax, an opportunity to drink some water, a favorite toy. All of these things help reset a puppy's mind and prepare them for more learning. Training should be enjoyable. The goal is to create a dog that loves working with people, not a dog that sees training as a chore. One of my favorite things about this Labrador is his attitude. Even when he gets distracted, he wants to come back and try again. Even when he makes a mistake, he doesn't give up. That's a wonderful quality in a young dog. Skills can be taught. Experience can be gained. But a positive attitude and a willingness to learn are priceless. As the lesson moved forward, we started putting several skills together. You can see him becoming more confident. His responses become quicker. His understanding becomes clearer. And perhaps most importantly, he's beginning to enjoy the process. By the second half of the lesson, many of the things that seemed difficult at the beginning were already looking much better. That's the beauty of good training. Progress often happens in small steps. Sometimes it's easy to miss if you're only looking for perfection. But when you compare the beginning of the lesson to the end, the improvement becomes obvious. Toward the end of today's session, we reviewed everything we had practiced. Reviewing skills helps build confidence and helps puppies finish on a positive note. Was he perfect? Not even close. Did he make mistakes? Of course he did. He's still a baby, but that's exactly what makes today's progress so exciting. For only his second lesson, I think he did an incredible job. He worked hard. He stayed positive. He kept trying. And he learned a lot. That's all I can ask from a young puppy. Training isn't about creating perfection overnight. It's about building trust, communication, confidence, and understanding one lesson at a time. And if today's lesson is any indication of what's ahead, I think this young Labrador has a very bright future. Good job today, buddy. I can't wait to see what you accomplish next.